Josh Duggar has once again made headlines, this time from behind bars. The former reality TV star, once known for his role on 19 Kids and Counting, is now drawing attention for a scathing email in which he accuses his own father of a lifetime of harsh criticism. According to reports, the email was written while Josh Duggar is serving his prison sentence, and it paints a picture of long-standing tension within the Duggar family. In the message, Josh claims that he has felt constantly judged and criticized by his parents, particularly his father, Bob Duggar. This revelation adds a new layer to the already complex and controversial history surrounding the Duggar family. For years, they were seen by the public as a close-knit, deeply religious household that valued discipline, structure, and traditional beliefs. However, Josh's claims suggest that behind the scenes, things may not have been as harmonious as they appeared. In the email, Josh reportedly expresses frustration and emotional pain, stating that the criticism he received was not occasional, but constant throughout his life. He describes feeling as though he could never meet expectations, no matter what he did. The tone of the message has been described as both defensive and accusatory, indicating unresolved resentment. This isn't the first time tensions within the Duggar family have surfaced publicly. Over the years, multiple controversies have brought scrutiny to both Josh and the family as a whole. However, this latest development is different. It's deeply personal, and it directly challenges the image that the family has maintained for so long. What makes the situation even more compelling is the timing. Josh Duggar is currently serving a prison sentence related to serious criminal charges, and many are questioning why he chose this moment to speak out against his parents. Some believe it may be an attempt to shift blame or gain sympathy, while others think it could be a genuine expression of long-suppressed emotions. Sources close to the family have not yet publicly responded to the contents of the email. Neither Bob Duggar nor Michelle Duggar has made an official statement addressing these allegations. This silence has only fueled speculation and debate among followers and critics alike. As the story continues to unfold, many are left wondering, is this a cry for understanding or an attempt to rewrite the narrative? And perhaps more importantly, what does this mean for the Duggar family moving forward? For now, the email stands as a stark and emotional account from a man whose life has taken a dramatic and controversial turn. As the contents of the email continue to circulate, public reaction has been swift and divided. Some observers believe that Josh Duggar is attempting to deflect responsibility for his past actions by pointing to his upbringing. Others, however, see his words as a possible window into the psychological pressures of growing up in a highly controlled and intensely scrutinized household. The Duggar family rose to fame through their reality show, which portrayed a disciplined lifestyle centered around strict religious values, large family structure, and clearly defined roles. At the heart of that structure was Bob Duggar, often seen as the authority figure guiding his children's lives and decisions. While many viewers admired this leadership style, critics have long questioned whether such an environment allowed for emotional freedom or individuality. In his email, Josh reportedly suggests that the expectations placed upon him were overwhelming. He hints that mistakes were not met with understanding, but rather with judgment and correction. This claim, if true, raises broader questions about parenting styles within strict environments, especially when combined with public exposure and fame. It's important to note that Josh Duggar's past controversies have significantly shaped public perception. His legal troubles and criminal conviction have made him a deeply polarizing figure. Because of this, many people are approaching his latest claims with skepticism. They argue that personal accountability should not be overshadowed by blaming family dynamics. At the same time, some analysts suggest that both things can be true. An individual can be responsible for their actions while also having experienced a difficult upbringing. This perspective has sparked conversations online about the long-term effects of rigid family systems and whether they can contribute to emotional distress later in life. Meanwhile, the absence of a response from Michelle Duggar and other family members continues to stand out. In high-profile situations like this, silence can be interpreted in many ways. It may be a strategic decision, a sign of internal conflict, or simply an effort to avoid escalating the situation further. There are also reports that not all members of the Duggar family share the same perspective. Over the years, some of Josh's siblings have subtly distanced themselves from both him and the family's public image. This adds another layer of complexity, suggesting that internal disagreements may have existed long before this email came to light. As media outlets and the public continue to analyze every detail of the message, one thing is clear: this situation is no longer just about past controversies. It has evolved into a broader discussion about family, responsibility, and the impact of upbringing on personal choices. As this story reaches a wider audience, the long-term implications for both Josh Duggar and the Duggar family remain uncertain. What began as a private email has now evolved into a public controversy, reopening old wounds and raising new questions about accountability, family dynamics, and truth. For Josh, this moment could be seen as an attempt to reshape how people view his past. By sharing his perspective, he appears to be offering context, perhaps even justification, for the choices that led him to where he is today. However, critics argue that no amount of personal explanation can excuse the severity of his actions, and that shifting focus onto his parents risks minimizing his own responsibility. On the other side, Jim Bob Duggar remains a central figure in this narrative, despite not publicly responding. As the patriarch of the family, his parenting style has long been both praised and criticized. Josh's claims directly challenge the authority and image that Jim Bob maintained for years in the public eye. Equally significant is the continued silence from Michelle Duggar. Known for her calm and nurturing presence on television, Michelle's lack of response has left many wondering whether the family is dealing with this matter privately or choosing to avoid further public scrutiny. Experts in family psychology suggest that situations like this are rarely simple. When individuals speak out about their upbringing, especially under extreme circumstances, it often reflects a mix of personal pain, memory, and interpretation. Whether Josh's claims are entirely accurate or partially influenced by his current situation is something that may never be fully known. What is clear, however, is that this controversy has once again placed the Duggar family under intense public examination. The carefully constructed image they once presented has been challenged multiple times over the years, and this latest development adds yet another layer of complexity to their story. For viewers and followers, this moment serves as a reminder that reality television often shows only a fraction of the truth. Behind the cameras, families, no matter how they appear, can face struggles that remain hidden until moments like this bring them to light. As the conversation continues, many are left asking difficult questions. Can personal history explain present behavior? Where should the line be drawn between accountability and influence? And perhaps most importantly, will this situation lead to any form of reconciliation within the Duggar family, or deepen the divide even further? For now, there are no clear answers, only statements, silence, and speculation. In the ever-evolving world of social media, even the most familiar faces are not immune to criticism. This time, attention has turned to two well-known members of the Duggar family, Jinger Duggar and Joanna Duggar, who are facing backlash over their recent online activity. The controversy began when both Jinger and Joanna hosted Ask Me Anything sessions, commonly known as AMAs, on their social media platforms. These sessions are typically designed to give followers a chance to interact more personally with public figures, asking questions about their lives, opinions, and experiences. However, instead of being well received, their AMAs quickly sparked frustration among followers. Many users took to the comment sections to express disappointment, labeling the sessions as useless and uninformative. Critics argued that the sisters avoided meaningful or difficult questions, choosing instead to respond to safer, more generic topics. This led to accusations that the AMAs lacked authenticity and failed to deliver the openness that audiences expect from such interactions. For years, the Duggar family built a reputation based on transparency, at least within the framework of their reality television presence. Shows like 19 Kids and Counting gave viewers what felt like an inside look into their daily lives. But in the age of social media, expectations have shifted. Audiences now demand a different level of honesty and engagement, and anything less can quickly lead to backlash. In the case of Jinger Duggar, who has in recent years taken steps to distance herself from some of her family's traditional beliefs, followers were particularly eager for deeper insights. Many hoped she would address personal growth, past controversies, or evolving perspectives. Instead, critics say her responses remained surface level, leaving important questions unanswered. Similarly, Joanna Duggar faced criticism for what some described as repetitive and overly simplistic answers. Followers noted that many of her responses focused on everyday topics without offering new or engaging information. While some fans appreciated the lighthearted approach, others felt it missed the purpose of an AMA entirely. This situation highlights a growing tension between public figures and their audiences. Social media has created an environment where accessibility is expected, but it also comes with increased scrutiny. When influencers or celebrities choose to engage, the quality and depth of that engagement are often judged just as much as the content itself. Despite the criticism, both Jinger and Joanna continue to maintain strong followings. Their supporters argue that they are under no obligation to answer every question, especially those that may be invasive or uncomfortable. They believe the sisters have the right to set boundaries and control their own narratives. Still, the backlash raises an important question. When public figures invite open dialogue, where should the line be drawn between privacy and transparency? As the criticism continued to spread, the conversation around Jinger Duggar and Joanna Duggar began to shift from simple disappointment to a broader debate about authenticity in the digital age. Social media users didn't just question the content of the AMAs, they questioned the intention behind them. Some critics suggested that these sessions were less about genuine interaction and more about maintaining visibility and engagement. In today's algorithm-driven platforms, staying active often means staying relevant, and AM, as can be an easy way to boost interaction without revealing too much. This has led to accusations that the sisters may be carefully curating their online personas, offering just enough access to keep followers interested while avoiding topics that could spark controversy. For longtime observers of the Duggar family, this approach feels familiar. The family has often been described as highly controlled in how they present themselves publicly, a pattern that some believe is continuing in the social media era. At the same time, it's important to recognize the unique position that Jinger and Joanna are in. Growing up in the public eye, their lives have been documented, analyzed, and criticized for years. This kind of exposure can make anyone more cautious about what they choose to share. From that perspective, their reluctance to answer more personal or difficult questions may not be avoidance, but self-protection. Still, the expectations from followers remain high. Many fans feel a sense of personal connection after years of watching the Duggar family on television. That connection often comes with an assumption of openness, even if that assumption isn't entirely fair. When those expectations aren't met, disappointment can quickly turn into criticism. Another layer to this situation is the changing nature of influence. In the past, reality TV stars could maintain a degree of separation from their audience. Today, platforms like Instagram and other apps have blurred that line completely. Followers now expect real-time interaction, candid responses, and a level of honesty that goes beyond what traditional media ever required. Interestingly, not all feedback has been negative. Some supporters have come forward to defend the sisters, arguing that the criticism is overly harsh. They point out that AMAs are meant to be casual and fun, not deep investigative interviews. From this point of view, expecting detailed or controversial answers may be unrealistic. There are also those who believe that the backlash says more about audience expectations than it does about Jinger and Joanna themselves. In a culture where oversharing has become normalized, choosing to keep things light and private can sometimes be seen as netostat, but it may simply be a personal choice. What makes this situation particularly compelling is how it reflects a larger trend. Public figures across industries are facing similar challenges, balancing authenticity with privacy, engagement with boundaries, and honesty with self-preservation. As the backlash surrounding the AMAs begins to settle, the bigger picture is starting to come into focus. What initially seemed like a minor social media controversy has evolved into a deeper conversation about expectations, boundaries, and the reality of life in the public eye for Jinger Duggar and Joanna Duggar. For both sisters, this moment highlights the ongoing challenge of redefining their identities beyond the Duggar family brand. While they first gained recognition through reality television, their current presence is shaped largely by social media, a space that demands constant engagement, but also invites constant criticism. In many ways, the criticism of their AMAs reflects a shift in audience mindset. followers are no longer satisfied with carefully filtered glimpses into a public figure's life. Instead, they are looking for depth, vulnerability, and honesty. When those elements are missing, even something as simple as an AMMA can feel disappointing. However, there is also a growing awareness that constant access does not equal entitlement. Just because a public figure opens the door to interaction does not mean every question must be answered. This is especially relevant for individuals like Jinger and Joanna, whose lives have already been extensively exposed to public scrutiny from a young age. For Jinger Duggar in particular, the expectations may be even higher. In recent years, she has been seen as someone carving out a different path, occasionally speaking about personal growth and changes in belief systems. This has led many followers to expect more in-depth conversations whenever she engages online. When those expectations aren't met, the reaction tends to be stronger. Meanwhile, Joanna Duggar has maintained a more low-key and family-focused online presence. Her supporters argue that her content has always been simple and personal, so expecting highly detailed or revealing answers may not align with her style. Still, critics believe that participating in an AMA comes with a certain level of responsibility to provide meaningful engagement. The situation also raises questions about how public figures learn and adapt. Will this backlash influence how Jinger and Joanna approach future interactions? Will they choose to be more open, or will they become even more selective in what they share? At the same time, this moment serves as a reminder of how quickly online sentiment can shift. What starts as a casual interaction can turn into widespread criticism within hours, especially when audiences feel their expectations have not been met. Despite everything, both sisters continue to maintain loyal fan bases, and it's unlikely that this controversy alone will significantly impact their overall influence. However, it does add to the ongoing narrative surrounding the Duggar family and their relationship with the public. In the end, this story is about more than just useless AMAs. It's about the evolving rules of engagement in a digital world where connection is constant, but satisfaction is never guaranteed. And as social media continues to blur the lines between public and private life, one question remains: how much is enough? In a shocking new development surrounding the Duggar family, Josh Duggar is once again at the center of controversy. This time due to a series of chaotic and emotionally charged emails reportedly exchanged with his wife, Anna Duggar. According to newly surfaced reports, these emails were written while Josh Duggar was serving his prison sentence in Arkansas. The messages, which have now become public, reveal a deeply fractured dynamic within the Duggar family, one that contrasts sharply with the united image they once presented on television. Perhaps the most startling claim to emerge from these exchanges is Josh's alleged description of some of his own siblings as ungodly. The term, which carries strong religious and moral implications, has raised eyebrows and sparked widespread debate about the internal relationships within the family. For years, the Duggar family built their public identity around shared faith, strict values, and a close-knit bond between siblings. Shows like 19 Kids and Counting portrayed a household where unity and religious devotion were central. But these emails suggest a very different reality behind the scenes. In the messages, Josh reportedly expresses frustration not only with his situation, but also with the behavior and beliefs of certain family members. While he does not always name individuals directly, the tone indicates a sense of disappointment and judgment toward those he feels have strayed from the family's traditional values. The language used in the emails has been described as intense and, at times, erratic. Observers note that the emotional tone shifts rapidly, ranging from defensive explanations to harsh criticism. This has led some to describe the correspondence as chaotic, reflecting a state of inner turmoil during his time in prison. Meanwhile, Anna Duggar appears to be a central figure in these exchanges. As Josh's wife, she has remained publicly supportive of him despite his legal troubles. The emails reportedly show her engaging in ongoing communication, though the full context of her responses has not been entirely disclosed. This situation raises important questions about the role Anna plays within the family dynamic. Is she acting as a mediator between Josh and the rest of the family? Or is she simply maintaining her position as a supportive spouse, regardless of the tensions being revealed? Another key point of interest is how these revelations affect the broader Duggar family image. Over the years, several siblings have taken steps to distance themselves from controversy, with some even publicly expressing differing views. Josh's comments labeling them as ungodly may reflect deeper ideological divides that have been developing over time. As news of these emails spreads, reactions have been swift. Critics argue that Josh's statements are yet another example of deflection and judgment. He may be expressing genuine frustration and confusion during a difficult period of his life.